Warning, this content is for entertainment and educational purposes only. What's up, everybody?
What's happening?
Morning.
Never too much pie.
Justin, I was laughing last week's, I think it was last week, somebody in the comments section said your mustache and your haircut made it look like you were in a disguise for like a spy movie or something.
Wearing a mask. Yeah, everyone hates it over here, so which means I got to keep it.
I did the handlebar for a while. The lady did not like it very much.
Yeah, there's nobody likes that.
You
like
could
that
tell him you
thing
did it for a
gotta
walk
go.
on a police television show.
Look, I'm doing this because I hate myself. All right.
You look like a firefighter.
Yeah.
It's funny. Most women don't go for the mustache anymore. Seems like all of them. It's not a thing now.
Yeah.
No.
Which is
That is not a
like
good
a
look on most
total
men.
change of pace for me because I'm used to them all going for me. So it's been a
So Amy, the mustache is a no-go.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of a mustache. Just not.
But is the mustache a fan of you? It goes both ways.
I mean, I'm willing to give it a try.
Oh yeah, it seems like facial hair is not style.
It's really bad. Younger, all right, finally. For the last 5 years, I got nothing but fat Seth Rogen jokes and how old I'm looking and what happened to Justin, and so here we go. I'll take that. Younger's good.
Oh man, the greatest is when it's like the ultimate bodybuilder put down. I see guys in the gym, and I've had a couple guys this year saying, "Hey, you retired from bodybuilding now, Paul? You downsizing?" I'm like, yeah.
Thanks for noticing.
Thanks for
it's
noticing.
It's like asking a woman if she's pregnant. You should just not.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, should be said.
She's got to be mid-birth before I'll ask a woman if she's pregnant.
Right? Like,
no
I
way.
see you're delivering a baby. I think you may have been pregnant.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny It's funny in the last couple of weeks, just from putting a little bit of gear back in place and being able to lift weights again. I like blew up like fucking 10 pounds overnight.
That's fun. Muscle memory is God's gift to humans.
It's got to be just glycogen, right? I would imagine most of it's just glycogen synthesis and nitrogen.
I think you just have all that. There's a period of time when we had really elevated intermuscular water stores, glycogen stores, things like that didn't really need to be there lately, and they'll pop back up. So I wish you could do like an actual good study on that. What are the total physiological adaptations, especially with PED use and former PED users? So a case like you, someone who is, on TRT for an extended period of time after previously using and being a competitive athlete, and then going back to that. It's really interesting how fast the adaptations are, and there's really nothing, all the research is on new adaptations, and we see how slow muscle growth is, how slow strength adaptations are. So it's hard to find much on, muscle memory.
And this is something I've taken umbrage with some of the guys that are more the science-based people, and they just purely focus on muscle protein synthesis, and they forget about all the other shit that's going on. Yeah, I know you've seen it, Justin, but there is clearly a huge component of increased glycogen synthesis, water retention, all these other things that happen over time as you up the food and increase the PEDs probably play some sort of role in it. But there's really no science out there that I've seen or research on that I know of that is
no, and you almost get pushback even up until I remember in 2015 we did a whole big gathering in Detroit with like 6 different people doing a seminar And that was 2015. And I believe Wikipedia still did not allow you to include sarcoplasmic content in the hypertrophy page or muscle growth page or whatever it was. So, it's still like kind of a new thing, but if I always like to look at things from first principles, say start at zero and see what we could, build from it. And so if you take a muscle, we know that only about 30% or even less actual amino acid structures, muscle tissue, contractile tissue, the actual myosin and actin. So more than twice as much of the volume of a muscle is non-muscle than is muscle. And so we know that whether or not you can affect that 70% to any appreciable manner or, like in a predictive manner is, I do X, which means that 70% is going to adapt as Y. But I think you obviously can. I mean, I think you can just look at a Phil Heath compared to a top power lifter and say, okay, something's different about the muscular adaptations with the way this guy looks and the way this much stronger guy looks, but yeah, I think that the sarcoplasmic stuff, I think in the next, 20 years or whatever, we'll probably get a bunch of cool information. I mean, the training stuff was brand new. The training research is like a 3-year, 4-year deal. 5 years ago, before COVID even, people talking about delayed onset muscle soreness and, tear the muscle down and it builds back stronger, so training's actually a really hotbed of research activity. It's just a difficult area to get research because, what we had 10 pounds of muscle in a year, 10, that's not very much. So you're gonna follow someone around every single workout they do, every meal they eat, everything they do to really, organize it and make sure they're on a strict plan for the research study for 6 months. And even then you're going to get like a couple of pounds difference in muscle growth. So it's hard to really track it. But I think there's going to be a ton of new info on the sarcoplasmic stuff, but it's probably going to be slower because I'm sorry, going on a rant, but most of research data is really all sport and performance money based. You're not going to get grants if no one. Sarcoplasmic adaptations are probably not very performance beneficial, and in a lot of cases probably counterficial. Anyone who's tried to after contest and you're up 25, 30 pounds and you're trying to waddle around with that lower back pain like a pregnant woman, you're not going to tear it up on a basketball court right then. So it's, like the sarcoplasmic stuff is interesting because how much benefit to sport and performance is there? It's obviously for appearance, it's almost everything. It's more than double, not the actual contractile stuff. But that's my rant. Sorry, I don't even know why I got on that.
Well,
no, I mean,
you've got such a great kind of case study with John Rivas. I mean, going from being a power lifter to being a competitive bodybuilder. I mean,
yeah.
It's he's like his own case study. I mean, it's so
fascinating. Oh, you would not. Yeah, you see, it was when he set the all-time world record at 242. So much, he's strong now. The guy can just rep 700 pounds on deadlift any day of the week without batting an eye. He's still freakishly strong. But when he was doing his world record numbers, you look like the same person. A right. fraction of the muscle mass, a totally different body shape. His shoulders were not wide naturally. That was like a purely sarcoplasmic adaptation, or androgen receptor density. And because the shoulders do have a very high, percent, like the androgen receptor density is really high in the shoulders. So in powerlifting years, like when he did IPF, he wasn't on anything. And so you can really see the adaptations, like he's got a ton of androgen receptor density in his shoulders, which just ignited when he started using stuff. And when he started training more as a builder with more focus on the sarcoplasmic, his shape completely changed. He went from like a narrow shoulder, blocky, thicker 240-pound guy to a, 300-pound, very wide shouldered guy.
Yeah, his shoulders are insane.
I mean, you can see it, Justin. We you and I mean, we've seen it over and over and over with guys with rebounds too, post show, when there seems to be, and we know that you're not putting on 40, 50 pounds of new contractile tissue in that rebound phase, but I see it all the time where guys will bounce up and have these huge weight gains, but yet they don't get fat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is
like how do you account for that? And that's why things like in body or hydrostatic weighing. If I compete at 245 and I'm our guy comment, I'm getting all the stash love is really warm in my heart. I want everyone to know that. But if I'm 245 on stage condition, shredded, say it gives me 6% or 5% for an easy number. If I gain 30 pounds with really no fat gain over the next week, just pure water bloat, and now I'm doing the same testing at 275 pounds with essentially the same, pounds of fat on my body, my body fat has been, what's that, 30, that's a 10% body weight difference. There you go. Yeah.
That's insane. It's like crazy to think that's the same person.
And the guy on the left was probably the stronger version.
Yeah.
Oh, much stronger. Yeah. The guy on the left is one of the strongest people who's ever lived. That's why when people tell me sarcoplasmic isn't a thing, or try to, it's like you can argue that we have it wrong, but arguing that it's a thing seems that, that's a visual evidence that mechanical tension and load on the muscle is the only, hypertrophy adaptations can't be true, because he's stronger on the smaller picture.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I was much stronger in my 20s, but I was nowhere near as big as I was last year. I mean, and you can see, like, with Milo Sarchev, like how he approaches people with training, nutrition, like the whole just fucking loading them up with insulin and carbohydrates and doing the higher volume training. And
if you're looking around, see if you can find a Luke Wood image from maybe like a rebound of Luke Wood, like 2003, 2004. That dude had some kind of genetic anomaly for sarcoplasmic adaptations, because he would come off taking like out of the top 15 at the New York Pro, and then 10 days later, Milos would be posting photos of him like 70 pounds bigger and still in shape.
Yeah, another example would be Kevin LeBron.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't find anything on that guy. But Kevin LeBron
died.
Well, Kevin LeBron's a great example too, actually, if you really dig into it, because he's an example of someone where muscle memory is pretty obvious of why it happens to him. He detrains himself and then introduces that variable back, and then he puts in a baseline of food and titrates that up. Androgens titrate up, hydration, sodium levels become consistent in the muscle, and then you see him get stronger into his prep and grow within the prep. So it's definitely real. It's just, maybe there's not a lot of studies to back it up.
Yeah, I mean, I've had this argument with a lot of the science-based people. It's they're like, well, there's no evidence. I'm like, well, there might not be a study that shows this, but I can show you plenty. There's lots of evidence. Yeah, there's an example right there.
Yeah, that could be him in the same year.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that could be him in 16 weeks.
Season. Yeah.
I used to see him. I mean, he's a local guy. I used to see him around. And you'd see him, he had his band, and he would just go fuck off with his band in the off season. And you'd see him and you'd be like, that's the same dude? How's that possible? I mean, he would be like 200 pounds. And then, 20 weeks later, dude would be 240, 250.
10 weeks. Yeah, he's insane.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, that's one that kind of drives me nuts.
Still has better delts.
And John's got some crazy delts.
Yeah.
Well, Paul, I'd imagine you've had some strength increases pretty quickly too, coming back. I mean, with introducing a consistent diet plan and hydration.
I'm weak as fuck right now.
Right, but I'm sure you're making some progress week by week, not just coming
back.
Yeah.
No, I'm
all those other variables.
I would say, like, the main thing that I'm way behind on right now, and it would make sense with my shoulders, is the pressing movements. I'm still only like about 60% of what my pre-surgery pressing was. I don't know that I'll ever get back there, or if it'd be smart to go back to that. But yeah.
Well, you don't want to do the things that ruin your shoulder in the first place. That's for sure.
I actually did week 1 of a bro split this week because I've been trying to do some more jujitsu and fitting that into my schedule. And I have done this 6 times a week PPL, where I train everything 2 times a week for like the last 7 years. And 1 week of doing a bro split, I don't even feel like I'm working out. I'm like, am I even doing anything?
That's why I just had a client switch from critical mass, which is like PPL to bro split, and that was it. First week was like kind of panic, like well, you're only hitting one body part per workout, so it's never going to feel like the same. Am I still going to grow? Is this enough?
Yeah, it usually works.
I mean, that's probably the predominant split that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say probably 70% of the guys on the pro stage probably do a bro split.
Well, I'll give you a good example. Like Jackie did push-pull leg for six days, and she actually got to some stalls last year, some plateaus where the best thing that worked for her was actually dialing her training back. And she had the same sensation. It felt like, am I getting enough stimulus? Am I doing enough? But that was actually the problem in the first place. She was overdoing the training. So then that got her to grow like crazy last year. That was all that it took. So for somebody that maybe has that feeling of 6 days a week going to, if you need to dial back training, you could probably get a little more pinpoint with your training with the bro split. And then you're also dialing back the frequency by default as well. Might be something that works well for certain people, certain scenarios.
I'm just so used to doing the 6 times a week PPL, basically the RP style training, that I feel like I just feel like what I got to wait a whole week to train back again.
Yeah,
that doesn't seem like enough.
I mean, I did that for the longest time, 6 days on, 1 day off. And then when I went 5 days on and 2 straight days off, I felt I started growing better too. I kind of liked it. And then I could rotate, like I'll do 2 leg days. Right now I'm doing 2 pulls and a push. I might run that for like 12 weeks or 8-week period until I feel like I need to pull out a pull day and put in the second push if I feel I have to. So it is malleable.
Something that's interesting is I don't even know what the general consensus is on volume or what people think high volume is, but most people finally talk about 90s bodybuilding as kind of one of the peaks of the sport. But what I think is interesting is, those are the Dorian years. And so training volume was really pretty low. Even the volume guys, because I remember Flex Wheeler and Chris Cormier would be with Charles Glass, and they were considered part of the volume crew. And I remember they would do 12 sets, like for chest, and that would be pyramiding up. And that was like considered high volume, where you're talking, you 3 movements of 4 sets or 4 movements of 3 sets, where only the last set was really anywhere near failure with that pyramid up approach. And so you're talking maybe like 4 sets near failure, and they weren't doing actually to failure. It was strict, bodybuilding reps and reserve type thing. But that was that was kind of the standard go-to for that golden era, the 90s version of the golden era. But I think people forget that it was, Dorian was king. And so everything was high intensity, lower volume, and guys would, even 12 sets, people would talk about, is that, so it's funny how the views change over time, because we're kind of in we're in a more scientific approach to it all, but we're definitely not that super low volume. I thought the low volume thing always cracked me up, because, you only got the magazine, so you knew what was really going on. But I remember when Blood and Guts first came out, I was like, oh, fuck yeah, I'm going to get to see what Dorian actually trains, because we never got to see that. Now we have Instagram and all this stuff. You see what everyone does. You see everyone's workout. There's no mystery. Back then, we had no idea. I'd never, actually at that point, I don't know if I'd ever seen a real competitive bodybuilder moving in motion when I saw that video. It was like that, or like the Unbelievable, or the Unbelievable 2001. So there's a Blood and Guts probably first. Anyways, I remember thinking, okay, what's his high intensity? Then he does 7 movements on back day. And I was like, wait a minute, 7 exercises? I know we were doing this like 1 set to failure deal. This is a whole ass workout. Yeah, you're only doing like 1 hard set per workout or per exercise, but you're doing 7 different movements, including rear delts. So that's when I kind of was like, man, everyone just kind of trains. Everyone puts a name on it, but we all do. We're more similar than we think we are, because these volume guys are doing 12. They're saying they're doing 12 sets, but they're doing 4 sets to failure, or 4 max sets, 4 different movements. This guy says he's a high intensity guy. He's doing 5 sets to failure. It's like, it's kind of weird how they announce it. This guy doesn't count as warm-ups. And that was really the main thing, was like if you're on bench and you're pairing up to 405, you do 135, 225, 315, 405. Might do like 20, 15, 12, 10, 8 is the standard pyramid. If you're doing high intensity, those warm-ups are just like 2, 3, 5 reps, whatever it takes to feel warm. But both groups were really, it was only that last set that was real. I just always thought that was so interesting that we, you know, everyone talks about 90s and I always see that it seems like they get talked about as like the classic bodybuilding bro spit volume, but it was pretty low volume.
I
And
had
that was a
Dorian's old training partner on, and we went through their entire training split and talked about it. And he was Paul, yeah, Paul. Well, it was the other guy, Paul. He wasn't on the video, but Paul, not Leroy, but Paul was telling me that he said that earlier on, he said that they would do top sets and back offs on everything. Is what Dorian went, and then like later on, then he decided that they would just do a top set, and that was it, and they would call quits. Like he didn't think the back off added a whole lot. But yeah, they would do multiple sets to warm up, and they would pyramid up to a top set on things. And yeah, like you said, Justin, it was multiple sets but Dorian, like the thing with Dorian, you watched him train, his form was super tight on everything.
Yeah.
And he used a lot of machines.
Mm-hmm.
Even back then, Dorian used a lot of machines. A lot of his work was, he didn't free weight squat. He
was kind of the first big name guy. I don't think none of the big guys were squatting. That's kind of a standard thing, is you just kind of get older and your shoulders hurt and your hips hurt and you just kind of fall out of squatting and you find other movements. But it was like still kind of taboo. You were still supposed to pretend like squats were king. He was the first guy I remember to be like, you don't need squats. I'm the best bodybuilder in the world and I'm not squatting.
Yeah, I know he had a back problem, so he dropped them. He was doing leg presses and hack squats. But yeah.
It's funny that this came up because I was just thinking the other day, like whatever happened to that pyramid style training? That's how I was taught when I first started lifting 20 plus years ago, was to pyramid up to that one top set that was absolute, like all in, pants shitting crazy ass set, and then do, one or two sets afterwards at a reduced weight to make up the volume. And I was just thinking, like, man, that seemed really effective compared to all the shit we do right now, where it's like 8-second negatives and just real time consuming.
Yeah, that's why training was never really became a passion for me. If I like for performance based sports, if I don't know, got into tennis or running, or I was a sprinter, where the act of performing was the sport, it'd be different. But for bodybuilding, it seemed like, man, I can't find any real common denominator between all these top guys in their training, other than they train and they seem to train pretty hard, I guess. But it always seemed like, I could look around my gym and see the guys who were on PEDs and see the difference. I could look around my gym and see like the one or two guys who actually ate like a bodybuilder and see the dramatic difference. And I could see that everyone was in there working out and everyone did different workouts. And there was like no correlation, no clear correlation where this guy does that kind of workout. He's better than that guy. Who's better than that guy because he does that kind of workout. It's like, this guy's tiny and does this kind of workout, but that guy's the biggest guy in the gym and he does the same workout. This guy's the second biggest guy in the gym and he does something completely different. So kind of early on, at least for bodybuilding, for like powerlifting and like performance stuff, I was interested in the training. But for bodybuilding, that's why it kind of never piqued my interest. I was like, man, it just seems like you go in, do the movements that work the muscle for you, and go home and eat chicken and rice.
Yeah, as you pointed out, I think the common denominators are in the PEDs and the food.
Yeah, exactly.
Really.
Mhm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, my honest belief, and I don't have any like data behind this, but I'm sorry, I'll stop talking so much after this. My honest belief is that we're all training hard enough. We all like to train. We're all training hard enough where that is never a limiting factor to our growth. It's always rest, drugs, recovery.
But we do see those guys who are doing all the other stuff in the gym, basically slacking and not seeing gains either. Trying every scientific method. If I slow this down, I do that. They've got 17 bands on everything, and they're like, they never grow. So there's definitely a training. You've got to be able to put it all into training. If you don't train hard, regardless of what technique you employ, your muscle's not going to grow without progressing.
This is sort of my philosophy on training at this point, is really just train hard, train progressively, and don't get fucking hurt while doing it. That's kind of that's really where I'm at with the training at this point. And I'm really the third aspect of not getting hurt when doing it is really a priority for me at this point in my journey.
When you just run the numbers, you know, if you run the numbers and you say like you get maybe 20 weeks a year on full growth cycle doses, 5 months out of the year, you know, that's if you diet down, but you get like maybe 20 weeks. If you get injured and you're out for 20 weeks, that's, you know, that's the same as missing an entire year. You know, so I mean, it's those things
Yeah,
that
don't
really
I know?
do add up. Yeah. Are you avoiding injury? Are you not having many major setbacks? You know, that's the weird thing with the sport. It's like calories in versus calories out. When people talk about, you know, that's a lie because I lowered my calories and I didn't lose weight. It's like, well, because your calories out also lower. We kind of do the same thing with this. Yeah, like we only worry about the things that make progress. We never think like, well, if I'm training like an animal and I'm always injured, one big injury can basically, if it's only a body part, but if I hurt my shoulders and I can't train hard for 20 weeks upper body, that's a year of lost growth, you know, as far as time. You know, you might be able to move your 20-week cycle a different part of the year, but if you look at it that way, injuries are a big deal.
I feel assaulted right now.
So,
I just lost a whole year.
You're going back to that.
I lost a year and I'm not even injured. So
going back to that bro split conversation, you know, it's interesting because I went for a while, like I used to when I was much younger, doing like 6-1s and just not taking that second rest day. And I tried that again recently and figured out that I can't do that as old as I am now. But I did start doing 2-a-days. I'm like this at the second end of a second week doing 2-a-days. And so I'm doing like 18, 20 sets, 22, 24 sometimes in my morning session. And then I'm getting another 10 or 12 sets in my evening session. And I don't have the kind of fatigue that I had just skipping that one rest day. So I'm able to do that kind of volume and with manageable fatigue. And I think that's a progression right there for me.
It was interesting listening to that Lee Priest, Jay Cutler podcast. You guys, if you haven't listened to it, it's one of the best podcasts I've heard, bodybuilding podcasts I've heard all year. But those guys talking about 2-a-days and Lee Priest talking about doing like 50 sets per workout.
Yeah.
Like something. I basically everything Lee Priest said he did is everything that you shouldn't do to get big.
Yeah.
Like if you believe everything he said, like eating like shit in the off season. He said he never once weighed or measured any of his food, even on contest prep. Not once.
One thing that's I think important to remember with Lee, and this worked for him, but his height also worked against him. But at age 13, what did he compete at? Like 155? You know, at like age 13, he was like 199 at some of his best looks as a pro. You know, so it's like that's 40 pounds over a career. You know, if most of us have had 40 pounds off our high school, 13-year-old, if most of us had 4 pounds off what we weighed when we were 13, we're not going to be top 6 at the Mr. Olympia. So there were some benefits, I feel like, with that. I mean, he's obviously a genetic freak, but also like him adding 5 pounds of muscle, like Paul, you're lanky, you're tall. Him adding 5 pounds of muscle is going to look very different than 5 pounds of muscle.
Yeah, I'd have to do 10.
Frame. Yeah, that's the story of my life. Competing against 5-foot-tall bikini competitors
Yeah.
who basically look like toddlers.
He got docked because of that height that really worked against him also. So it's not like all good, but there is also that to consider. Some of the time frames where you see him fat as hell, and then 10 weeks later in shape, you're like, Jesus Christ, how do you do that? But then you're like, well, he lost 50 pounds. A lot of guys lose 50 pounds in a diet. It's not ideal, but that's not that crazy. It's just 50 pounds that when you're, it's that compressed, it looked much more dramatic.
Yeah, he said that he would do 2 hours of cardio to get that off. That's what he was saying. Yeah, he said he never.
That was like default. If you were prepping in the 90s, you did 2 hours of cardio, and it was boring, slow lists. So dumb. But that's what everyone did, trying to manage a full-time job with that.
What was that 1,200 calories? How many? What do you burn on 2? What do you burn on 2 hours of cardio?
No, that was what's so stupid about it. You walk at like 2.3 miles an hour at like a 3% incline. It was like you burning 20% more than sleeping. It was so dumb. But that was like no one. That's how like clueless we were. Like there was no like kinesiology, exercise physiology, it was just pure bro science, because people were still on the, you burn fat when you're in fat burning mode. Your heart rate's at a certain range. You burn fat. Your total calorie output is nothing. So it's, you're burning 70% fat instead of 50% fat, but you're burning 10% of the total calorie. It was just like, this is before like the scientists came in, now there's like, exercise physiologists with PhDs in every area of the sport. But back then we were dumb hunter gatherers, just finding a rock and seeing
2
what we
hours
did.
was a nice round number, so everybody started doing it.
Yeah. Knew any better.
I
Before
think it
the
was cool
people
that Lee showed up to that interview with a bag of McDonald's. They're smashing McDoubles.
yeah, he was making Jay eat McDonald's because Jay said he had never eaten it before, which is
That's
insane.
smart. He probably has. I'm gonna pull that. Oh, I never had McDonald's. Never. Yeah, I'm buying you McDonald's. Oh,
You can get free
okay.
McDonald's anytime you wanted, man. That'd be awesome.
I think I said that a couple of weeks ago. I did that. I used to do that in college when I had money for alcohol. I'd go to a party without any alcohol, and the first time someone asked me, "Why aren't you drinking?" I'd be like, "Oh, I'm not drinking tonight." They'd be like, "Oh, fuck that! You're getting drunk with me," and I get free beers all night.
Wait, hang
It
on, let
was
me try something. I haven't had
it was
any
it-
trend yet.
Yeah, I ain't touching that stuff. Bullshit. I'm sending some.
Save Primo. Trend's easy to get.
It was
Yeah,
hilarious
yeah.
listening to Lee talk about PED use. Like, maybe the dude just had the freakiest genetics of all time, but he swears he never took more than 500 to 750 milligrams of testosterone. I don't know if I believe that or not, but that's what he
Doses
claims.
were lower. I mean, I don't know if those are correct, but like a gram a test used to kind of be like that was like the number everyone said, like, oh, it's a crazy cycle. Like it was, would you do a gram a test? That was kind of, for a long time, that was the number. Then I don't know what happened. I think it was when China Raws came out, 2005, 6-ish. Before then, you were like, you had some guy in Turkey who would mail you ampules in an old like cassette tape deck, or like shove pills into like a stuffed animal and mail it from Bulgaria. They're like in the 90s, that's what we did, or like Reformid B or T400. It's your buddy in San Diego would risk it across the border, and you'd get fake stuff 90% of the time. So it was harder to get stuff, and so your cycles weren't crazy. It really wasn't until China came out and it was like, oh my god, I can get a kilogram costs like $50 of powder or whatever. I have no idea what they were, but like, man, I can run a gram of test a week for a year for $50. All right, we're off to the races. And that's kind of when the doses got to where they are now. I'm not going to pretend guys were using like TRT, but the doses were a little more tempered back then.
Yeah, I mean, definitely people. I mean, I remember that too, Justin. Like, if you heard of somebody running a gram, that was like, holy shit, what's that guy doing?
Mm-hmm.
China giveth, China taketh away.
Yeah.
Right now
they set us out to put us back in our place.
We're in the lean
You guys
times.
like seeing big? Good luck.
No Primo for you.
We are in the lean times. It's the famine, the bodybuilding famine.
It's like the great PED famine of 2025.
Well, it seems like the next thing it seems like they're coming from peptides. I saw this week that it's a couple months old now, but the FDA approved SS3-1 for use, and all the peptide places are having to yank it because the pharma company's like, no, you can't do that now.
Mm-hmm.
I've been hearing from several owners that they're getting calls. I'm sure they've been tracking stuff for a while if they're starting to contact companies. But yeah, that's going to be within the next year. It seems like something's going to happen.
Well, what it seems now that the pharma companies are doing is doing these fast track approvals on some of the peptides just to get them off the market. So they have control over them. They approved the SS3-1 for some obscure disease I'd never even heard of. I don't even remember what it was. It was
cancer.
No, it was let's see, for Barth syndrome, a rare mitochondrial disorder.
Invented last week.
But SS3-1 seemed to be the most potent one for mitochondrial health. Of course, they yanked it.
They take the good stuff.
Well, the good stuff is profitable. as we see. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how all that shakes out over the next year or two. I have a feeling it's going to be like pro hormones. They're all going to get clamped down on and eventually go away.
Bye.
I've been doing this caffeine fast. I am on day 9 of no caffeine, and it was crazy how much my sleep has gone. I looked at my sleep. My sleep went up an hour and a half this past week compared. I went from 6 hours and 45 minutes up to 8 hours and 15 minutes average sleep in a week of 8 days of no caffeine. My my resting pulse rate dropped by about 6 points. So for the bros out there, my top number on the blood pressure, the systolic dropped by 10 points, which seems to be mostly central nervous system motivation from what I've seen. But yeah, it's crazy. Can't hear you.
Did you have headaches at the start or anything? Oh yeah,
I felt like fucking shit, man.
That's the only reason I even do caffeine. I feel like half the time is if I don't around noon, I'm like, oh, my head hurts. I get some caffeine in me.
Yeah, it's been bad, man. There's been like I've been having these crashes in the afternoon where I'm like, I gotta go fucking maybe lay down for like 30 minutes.
Well, here attacking life under my own accord. No drugs. Raw dog in life.
I just wanted to experiment and see. I'm sure I'll cave at some point and put the caffeine back in.
Mm-hmm. How are the workouts? You use caffeine pre-workout?
I was using caffeine pre-workout. I don't really notice any difference in my workouts. Workouts are the same. I feel like once I get the
adrenaline, pre-workout was for like the first exercise. I don't do that pre anymore, and I did for years, for 20 years, like pretty much every workout. But eventually, I just kind of decided I wasn't going to, and it felt like by the time I got to the heaviest set of my first exercise, it was like the natural excitement of the workout was enough. I kind of realized the pre-workout was really more for getting me motivated on the drive there, getting excited for the workout. But once I start working out, I realize I don't need it.
Yeah, I just need some metal music in my ear and get a couple sets in, and once I'm going, I'm going. Maybe 25 milligrams of Anadrol, something like that. No, I'm not even doing that right now.
Hey Dave, have you done any of the injectable pre-workout stuff?
Yeah, I've used some of them that were available from some of the popular, amino companies, and I'm a fan of them, but I do get used to them quick. So it's not something I'm going to take daily. It might be, a leg day I really want to get a pump for, or I need a little extra edge. But yeah, no, that I like them. They certainly work. That's for sure. Yeah.
I have not tried any of that.
I mean, the pain in the ass part is, it's just another thing you got to pin. But, some days what's that?
Was that pun intended?
Pain in the ass. Unintended pun.
Pain in the ass. But the nice thing is again, like, I'll just kind of spot use it. I used to use it more frequently, and then I realized that, I kind of diminish the effects. But, if you got a lagging body part, it's certainly a beneficial tool to get a bigger pump, bigger blood flow. I'll mix in like some, marathon sets or Widowmakers or an FST7 just to get that added pump at the end of a workout. And there's definitely use for them. I just, you can't use it every day. Like you could use your, your powdered pre-workout for a pump formula every day and do pretty well. But the injectable ones, I find myself again adapting to them very quickly.
I haven't made it to water yet.
What water-based?
That old school. Like I refuse to drink water until the workout's over. It's weird. Bad for my
life. Yeah. That's old school.
Yeah. Is there a certain reason you got like
my father was insane and he taught me how to train.
Tina asked my workout. My workouts have been fine. I've no noticeable drop off in performance. Honestly, my favorite pre-workout, I'm not even shitting in that. I don't do it much anymore, but I love a good 50 milligrams of Anavar couple hours before a workout. And Anavar, man, gets me a fucking crazy pump, and I get strong as fuck with Anavar.
That's cool.
Yeah, for sure.
But it wrecks my lipids, so I'm just on baby doses right now. We'll see how long that lasts.
No, that's fine. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, is it Anavar the worst on HDL of all of them? Or is that?
No, I'd say I don't know. Winstrol really fucking nukes your
Oh,
HDL.
man. Yeah.
I've seen
I had
guys
a
with single
negative
digit.
number. I had -7 HDL on Winstrol.
I've seen guys with single digit HDLs on Winstrol before.
Same.
Yeah, like a
You guys-
5 or
Everybody
a
likes
6.
Anavar and Anadrol. Is that about right?
Anadrol, man. If you want central nervous system drive, if you want strength, I don't think there's much of anything that beats Anadrol.
I would have to agree with that.
But there is a big but. Like I get about 10 days into Anadrol and I can't fucking eat. The acid reflux gets so bad. Blood pressure goes through. You know, it's like when you bleed from your eyeballs, like Eddie Hall deadlifting.
Yeah.
Like, why
That
is
sounds
Eddie?
awesome, actually.
Why is Eddie bleeding from his eyes? I'm like, I know why.
Nowhere else for it to go.
Sounds awesome.
He's probably got a
Keep
200
blood
over
pressure.
130 blood pressure.
Yeah, I bet you it was.
Been there.
Yeah, I can only imagine how high it was.
Oh, yeah, it can't be good. Can't be good for you. Did you guys see the Olympia moved? They're moving venues. They're moving to the Palms. You know,
And back to September. I don't know about the September thing. I kind of liked October.
yeah,
It's like 2 weeks earlier, not even 2 weeks earlier.
I don't know
It
if the
drifted.
Palms is any
It was a
better.
slow drift. It used to be in August, way back. It just kind of slowly drifted. It seems like. I probably
They're
like
trying to
the
squeeze,
October.
more of the qualifying shows in. You know, the Tampas and early August, and
It's going to be really interesting with the point system. Like it already kind of is. I mean, it's I know not for open bodybuilding, but at least for bikini and wellness and men's physique, it's interesting to kind of see how athletes are doing things this year already. That's a little bit different than years past. Like just the kind of competing in some of these later shows in the year repeatedly, just to make sure they get that qualification early in the year so they can take time off. Because if you win 2 shows, you know, you're in, but the rest of everybody's on points. And I think the worst thing would be to be thinking you're good on points, but then have somebody compete a lot toward the end of the year and knock you out at the very end. And then you're trying to panic to do a show. And then there's not that many shows because now the Olympia's earlier. So it's going to
That'll be
during a
interesting
race.
because you'll see the early shows. If every big name shows up and gets like if people qualified early, it'll be what it is. But if people kind of hold back, the end of the year could be interesting. If you got a lot of names still looking to qualify, those late shows will be awesome.
Yeah, it could be really good.
They had a serious problem with people not competing. There's some shows where there were just not that many people showing up. So they had to do something. You know, they could always increase prize money. That would definitely get people out to compete.
One way.
That's one way. Or you can change the requirements and make it harder for them to qualify for the Olympia, and they have to compete more. So athlete has to spend more money. I don't know that it's good for the athletes. Good for the
That's the
entertainment
risky
value.
thing. We're in a weird sport where maybe all sports are that way, but the most dangerous time for people in the sport is when they're doing the sport, you know. So forcing them to do more, that is risky. Like you said, the prize money would be, it seems like maybe a safer way to do it because there's gonna be some choice involved. I mean, there's always choice, but you know, if you're enticing people with bigger paychecks, it's probably better than enticing people that if you need this, or you're not going to be able to do the Olympia, and you're going to have people that know they probably shouldn't. They've been having some health issues, but you know they'll grind it out.
Well, they were doing that
probably
stuff.
Anyways, but
they had talked about it, but it seems like I have not heard them say anything more about it. But there was a thing where they were sort of forcing people to compete to keep their pro status. And they seem to have backed off of that. What was it, once every 2 years or 3 years, something like that you had to compete or you had to requalify for your pro card. They were talking about that, but then I haven't heard them say anything else about that since.
I feel like that's how many legacy guys keep a card for. I bet you if they ran the numbers, they got to have an accountant somewhere. He had to be like, hey, well, 70% of our pro cards are paid for by people who aren't going to compete and will keep paying for it for the next 3 to 5 years with no, I mean, everyone buys them a couple years after they graduate or after they retire, and you're going to lose all those. I bet you they realize they just lose money. Not that, what $50 or $100 or something.
It's 400 is what I pay.
Is it that much now? But I saw that one study followed 30,000 IFBB pros. You
20,
see that one?
it was 20. Yeah, we talked about it last week.
Something like that. Yeah. So I was, man, there's that many fucking pros at $400 a card. Okay,
it's a little money.
Get in on this. Let's make a new card. What can we make a card for?
I mean, I kind of feel like you are in on it. I mean, you're not getting paid for that, but you're helping people get to that goal.
Yeah, I mean, I know the problems with, they needed to get more people competing in these shows. I mean, that's why I always laugh when people say there's too many pro cards, but then there's like 8 fucking dudes showing up competing in the Open at the Detroit Pro or whatever it was. And that's a bigger show. So there's not enough guys actually competing. So I know they're trying to deal with that. We want to grab some questions.
Absolutely.
Questions.
I have a whole bunch starred. Yeah. There were, before the questions, there were a couple of just comments. Let's see. Oh, this one. This is from Nick. He thinks it was Gonzo who recommended checking out Bariloche on my trip to Argentina.
Bariloche, that's right.
It was a nice stop. Thanks for the recommendation. That's awesome. Bariloche. Is that, I'm assuming that's a city, or is that like a region?
It's a city. Can you hear me, guys, this time?
Yes.
Oh, awesome. So it's a city. It's basically the Switzerland Zurich of Argentina. It's what it is. So basically the same vibe in Spanish in the Andes. And it's amazing.
Oh,
If
that's
you're
awesome.
into skiing. Yeah. Plus the US dollar goes a long, long, long way there. So once you get there, getting there may be expensive. The flight will be expensive. I believe last time I priced, it was about $2,000 flying from Atlanta to there. A round trip, somewhere along that. But once you get there, though, I mean, your dollar goes a long, long way.
Oh, wow. I just looked pictures up. It looks beautiful.
It is. It is. It truly is a beautiful place. It's like a well-kept secret. So,
unless you're a Nazi fleeing Germany, then it wasn't.
I was going to say, this doesn't seem sus to anyone else. Something
I have no comment.
I need to read the history book real quick.
There was a movie, some action flick that was based in Nazi. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but chasing Nazis that started in that city. It's the only reason why I know what it looks like at all.
Yes,
They filmed that first scene in that movie at Bariloche.
Yeah. I mean, it was a neutral country during the war, so we know.
Wow.
Yeah, that looks gorgeous.
It is.
That's incredible.
It's beautiful.
All right, what do we got up next?
All right, and then the other one that was just a comment was from Budding 3321. He is down from 348 pounds to 285 pounds since March 1st.
Nice.
Awesome. Congratulations. Hey.
Great job.
All right.
Badass.
On to questions. First question was from Sap the Bee 6342. What are your guys' thoughts on Russian Sergei Danilov and Andrei
Mutants.
Mutants.
Mutants. That's all. God.
Were they two of the guys that were competing today in the big man in Spain or yesterday?
Smythe is
No?
a guy I've been following Smythe since he was like 18. He's an arm wrestler too. He's a guy's got enormous upper body, does really unique kind of workouts, like 100 sets of dips for a chest workout, or he'll do like 2 hours of just wrist curls in the evening. But absolutely, if you can find some photos, this dude's hands and arms are shocking.
Huh.
I don't really know Sergey.
This is Dan.
Oh, that guy. Yeah, I always forget his
Jesus.
name.
Oh, that's the guy that he's taken all the good growth hormone from everybody.
Yeah, 100 IU or whatever.
Right.
He's been using 100 units a day.
Oh,
100 units a day.
Yeah, he was on one of Larry Wheel's videos, and he did an experiment for a week where he ran 100 IU a day
Oh my gosh.
for a week. Yeah.
Can Can he do anything with his hands without
What's
100
the-
units a day?
What's
It's
the
like,
Band-Aid over the belly button? Is it his hernia?
Trying to keep his
Yeah,
hernia
that's
in
a result
place.
of 100 years of GH.
He's probably had to have a
Jeez.
carpal tunnel surgery at some point.
He's big. He's big
Pump.
too. He's like he's probably 6 foot, if not a little over.
Yeah, he was at Masters Nationals, maybe walking around. He took up a lot of space. He was at one of the shows this summer.
Yeah, it was
think.
Masters Nationals. I saw him there.
How did I miss that dude?
You thought he was the Eclipse.
Here's this other dude. What was his name? Andre.
Andre
They,
Small.
they, bu- yeah, they build them different in Russia.
Oh.
oh, jeez.
That's
Look at
older.
Justin.
That's old.
He
Oh,
looks
that's
like the
that's
Hulk.
well, that's
looks like AI.
older and shopped. His unshopped ones are even crazier. His hands are just
not
weird.
far
They're like
off.
bear paws.
He's only 26 though.
Yeah.
That hair, bro. I look younger than
That's an
that
AI
guy.
shit right there, though. Look at his head.
Yeah.
That looks like AI.
There we go.
Yeah. Still,
That
more
looks
human.
more real life.
Those are all old. I mean, shockingly, he's like 22 in those photos.
jeez.
22 looks 52.
I know.
There we go. Let's see. Here's his Instagram. There he is.
That is a large individual.
Yeah.
Well, look at the hands. Those are the I took a lot of G. He probably was only
Yeah.
100 units too.
Do you see the one with Larry Wheels? Is that?
I feel like this is a Sasquatch that just shaved some hair in his cheek.
But he looks like something out of the Lord of the Rings or something. You
Right.
know?
Hey, Paul, I just sent you a video from Julius Maddox where I don't know if you've ever met Julius. You know that strongest.
Yeah, I
coach
met
of all
Julius.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, his hands are enormous, but you can see what Andre's hands look. They're like a bear paw or something. They don't even have fingers.
26-inch arms.
The black hand is Julius Maddox, which is an enormous hand.
Wow.
Yeah, Julius Maddox is not a small person.
No, like 450 pounds, and he's got big hands for a 450 pound. That's the thing. Smade's hands are just weird looking. The palm pad is like 6 inches thick. I don't know how.
I wonder how
brushing his teeth.
I wonder how big his heart is.
Yeah.
6 inches thick.
The left
I'm sure it's
ventricle.
a family trait. I'm sure those hands are a family trait.
Jeez.
All right, what do we got up next?
All right. Next we have from Josh running 400 test SIP, 200 EQ, 4 GH. Bloods are excellent. If I was to run into Crash D2, would a small dose of Ment ACE be a suitable add-on?
I mean, it possibly could work.
It'll give you the methylestradiol, but I don't know how to get it or how much you need.
I usually opt for D-bol or HCG, but somebody pointed out HCG, and if it increases estrogen conversion and EQ is converting to E1, that maybe that might not help. But I've seen it help. I've seen E2 go up with HCG on with crash estrogen. I had a whole video up about crash estrogen. It's on my Big Paul Clips channel from EQ if you want to check it out. But yeah, I usually, I mean, probably the long-term fix would be to change the ratios of test to EQ, probably up the testosterone dose. Short-term fix would be to run some D-ball.
For how many days would you run that Debo, Paul? Would you recommend? Just
Couple
kind of
days.
go by feel?
Yeah,
Kinda
a couple
go-
weeks. Yeah, you
couple
don't need
weeks.
much, 10, 20 milligrams.
Gotcha. And then go by kind of like symptoms and
Yeah, you could always get, I mean, an estradiol. I mean, I see now you can get these estradiol tests done for $20-$30 if you want to go get it checked out.
like a sensitive one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought sensitive was like 50-60 for whatever reason. Last I checked, that I
Alta-
guess I
I
got
think-
ripped off.
Dave, you would know. I think Alta had them for $39. I think it
Well,
was.
if you're messing with EQ, don't you want a total estrogen so you can see how much estrogen and estrone and blah 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 you have?
Yeah, I mean, if you really wanted to dial into it, but estrone is
Because you feel good, I
mostly,
Hmm.
yeah, estrone is mostly inert in a man's body. So, but yeah, if you're curious to see how much of it is, I don't usually have guys waste the money on the complete estrogen panel because it's a couple $100.
Yeah,
Usually
that one's
E2s.
expensive.
usually E2 is what's going to make you feel like dog shit.
I take too much trend, so I've always got to get a sensitive.
Yeah,
Josh, your
you
solution
definitely,
is always trend.
Too much. I mean, not enough. I take not enough trend. So.
you definitely always want to get the ultra sensitive, especially if you're running 19 NORs,
Yep.
because they'll throw off the regular test. Yeah, I'll tell
All right,
you.
ready for the
what-
next one?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. From Larry, ending a health phase and all blood markers are great. T4 is low, but all other thyroid markers are normal, even free T4. Why? Didn't touch T3 during prep.
Said his T4 is low.
T4
How
is low.
low?
Yeah,
4.3.
I mean,
4.3.
4.3.
What's
would-
that?
That's from GH. GH will cause your T4 to get low.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Tren will do it too. It increases T4 to T3. I mean, T4 is the precursor to T3, so you end up with depletion of T3. As long as T3 uptake is okay, you could throw in. A lot of times, what guys will do is throw in some T4 for just like a month or so, just to fill up your stores, for a lack of better term, and then usually you're good to go. But it's from the GH or potentially running Tren. Tren will do that too. Those are the two things I've seen pull T4 down, but it increases T4 to T3 conversion. So you end up with depletion. You'll see it on blood work. Usually T3 uptake will be high when that happens.
He's not using GH and hasn't used Tren in 3 months. Interesting.
And then your metabolism's just rolling.
We're getting old. We're getting old.
No,
That's what
it's,
it is.
you know.
Was it selenium?
It-
and then
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it could be a
you just
vitamin.
you test it again and see what you get.
Could be a vitamin deficiency too. Thorne has a thiocrine, which I think is their supplement that has zinc, selenium, iodine, or beetroot extract in it. I've seen some guys get pretty good results just from running that.
That's what I run. Yeah.
Add some Brazil nuts into your diet. I'm a big fan of Brazil nuts, especially for men. They're good for
More
prostate health
nuts.
too.
Huh?
The more nuts, the better.
More nuts. Everybody loves Brazil nuts.
What is it
All
that
right.
Brazil nuts has that other nuts don't?
Selenium.
Selenium.
Mhm.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
super
most
high in
people aren't getting selenium in their diet.
And it's really highly bioavailable too, because you're getting it in the right kind of combination of fats and micronutrients.
So it's more bioavailable by eating it that way.
It is.
Got
Yep.
it.
I just
Okay.
looked.
Yeah.
The full estrogen panel is about $200.
Where ultra sensitive is right now 49, but if you were to use Paul's code or my code, you'll save 20%.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
There we go.
Ding, ding, ding. $40. See,
We have 25% off Hit the Rack, which has selenium in it as part of our Black Friday Cyber Monday deal also. Sorry.
Yeah, I had
There
to
we go.
stock up on your website. You know,
you have a thyroid
signed up-
support supplement, Justin?
No, but our Hit the Rack has selenium in it.
Okay.
I started playing
So
with
guys,
your
I have to get off at 1.
Okay.
Jump in. I don't want to cut everyone off. So I got to head out, guys.
All right, dude.
Or
Thank you.
Justin.
Great seeing you.
See ya.
We'll miss the mustache.
I was about to say that I had played with his Troponin IQ a little bit, the AI, and it is like crazy good. Like I really at some
It's really
point,
good.
I felt like I was actually having a conversation with Justin, and I decided to play with it a little bit and ask it some silly questions to see what it would do. I asked it what Haribo candy smelled like.
Now the important question: does his AI have a mustache as well? Bada bing. All right, what do we got up next?
All right. Next from Suck Smoothie. With all things being equal, meaning perfect gut health, will an athlete eating 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight make as much muscle or grow as much muscle as someone eating 1.3 over the span of a year?
I would guess no.
An enhanced athlete.
Likely. I don't eat a ton protein. I mean, look, the way I look at protein, and this is kind of the way I look at it when I'm structuring diets. If you're in a caloric deficit, I tend to push protein a little bit higher. if you're in a caloric surplus, especially when you're eating more carbohydrates, carbohydrates are going to be protein sparing. So you don't have to worry about that. There is a limited amino acid pool in your body. And it's, if we really, I wish Justin was still on here, he'd break down the math on it. But like, if you think about it, a pound of muscle is something like 440 grams, and only about 20, maybe 25% of that is actual protein structure. So there's basically 110 grams of protein in a pound of muscle. You're not synthesizing a pound of muscle per week, in most situations. Now there's protein turnover, amino acid pools, a bunch of other things that you need protein for. The main thing with muscle protein synthesis, I think that's probably more important, is to make sure that you have adequate protein throughout the day in a sustained fashion throughout the day, so you're not leaving gaps in, because you don't know when you're going to grow. Your body's going to decide to initiate muscle protein synthesis. But I tend to eat lower protein because I have a shitty appetite, and I just can't get the fucking protein down. I'll eat as low as 0.75 grams myself sometimes, and I still have grown. Now I would say, look, it's, if you want to exercise on the side of caution and you got a big appetite, sometimes, like with dudes that I have that just have insatiable appetites, I'll just keep cranking the protein up. Protein's really a free pass when you think about it, because if you're eating excess protein, how your body metabolizes that protein, it's almost damn near impossible to turn protein, as long as it's a low fat protein, into fat. I mean, there's multiple steps you're going to have to go through. You're going to have to go through gluconeogenesis, and then there's going to have to be an excess of glucose, and then that glucose is going to have to be converted to lipids before you even get stored as body fat. And then there's loss, protein loss through that gluconeogenic process, where it's probably, I don't know what the exact number is, but I think it's like 3 to 1 the loss that you're going to have. So
your body's going to go whatever's quickest.
Yeah, most likely you're just going to end up pissing most of it out just as excess nitrogen. And you'll see it on blood panels when guys have high BUN. It's most likely just from eating too much protein.
Yeah.
It's just excess protein, you have, but you do want to be in a positive nitrogen balance for, if you want to be careful about muscle protein synthesis. But I would say, for the most part, that most people overeat protein. They probably eat way more than they need to. But if you want to eat extra, I look at it as buying insurance. It's not going to hurt you as long as it's not affecting your digestion, and you can get your meals down. It's probably more important to eat protein evenly spaced throughout the day, so you have already a pool of amino acids available for when the time comes that your body's going to initiate in the muscle protein synthesis.
Yeah, and I think it's also fair to point out that, like, I'd almost point, in my opinion, 1 gram per pound of lean body mass is pretty much like a minimum requirement too, because you also got to look at what people do for work. What other kind of activities are they doing throughout the day? If a physical labor job, you might need protein on top of on top of your training to recover from handling a jackhammer all day, or digging a ditch, or all those other things come into play for recovery facets as well.
Yeah, and when you're in that situation too, Dave, another thing that guys can be aware of is you're probably, and you'll notice it, like if you're working hard and you're sweating a lot, you'll notice, like, when guys start to smell like ammonia, that's a byproduct of gluconeogenesis. When your body starts breaking down protein structures, nitrogen is a waste product. Ammonia is a waste product of converting those protein structures into glucose. It's one of the, so when you start smelling like ammonia when you're doing cardio or you're working all day long, probably the fix would be to just drink a fucking Gatorade. At the end of the point, that would prevent the gluconeogenesis, and that's where the whole protein sparing effect of carbohydrates comes into place. Now, I've heard arguments, and I recently heard Dave Palumbo and Jay Cutler's podcast talking about it, and I can get this argument. This is not a slight to Dave, but the old school thought was, it's just eat a shit ton of protein and it's sort of self-regulating. Your body will make whatever glucose is necessary, and then you just piss out whatever excesses in there. But there's another factor that you have to put in there with today's current economy is just the pure cost of protein.
Right.
You know, it's cheaper to eat a fucking potato than it is to eat a steak. So a lot of times, like especially if guys have heavy manual labor jobs, they probably just need to eat more carbs throughout the day, and that would spare that protein unless you're on a contest prep.
Sugar diet.
Yeah, but I mean, look, at the end of the day, there's no downside other than the digestive impact and the impact on your wallet to eating more protein. There is some argument that it can cause damage to kidneys, having all that excess nitrogen floating around. Maybe the excess ammonia. I think if you're drinking enough water and flushing everything out, you're probably okay.
The steroids do more damage than the protein you eat.
Yeah, I would say as long as your kidney function is normal, then you're probably okay. I do have some guys that I work with that have compromised kidney function, and will keep the protein a little bit lower, just out of exercising some caution. But I'd say if you're young and healthy, but I would say the biggest impact is going to be to your wallet. So, but yeah, I mean, just the thought process. But yeah, I mean, it's probably not going to hurt anything if you eat more. And if you want to exercise, I remember Dante Trudell telling me this back in the day. Dante was a big proponent of eating a shit ton of protein. He would have me eat 2 grams per pound of body weight, which I just can't get down at this point. There's no fucking way I could eat that much, not unless I drank a bunch of protein shakes throughout the day. But the way he looked at it is like, having more is not going to really hurt anything. It's buying you. Why not buy that insurance and putting some extra in place? Yeah. That was kind of his thought process when it came to that. Now, I do think long term it can really fuck up your digestion when you're eating a lot of slow digesting protein throughout the day. You end up fucking your gut, especially if you're using GLP-1s. Gastric emptying gets screwed up. It's probably not great for your GI, your overall cancer risk, all these other things. Slamming a bunch of protein all day long.
Yeah, I was just going to mention, I think the next thing that's just as important as worrying about what side of the spectrum you're on of 1 gram to 1.3 is how well are you digesting your protein selections too. You know, that because that adds up over time. So if you're looking at this from a long term, this isn't just like 1 week that you're talking. If you're talking a year's time, all those little things add up for sure.
I would say most of my diets that I structure, I will take guys, it depends on, like, if they're just general fitness people, I'll go a little bit lower. If I have competitive bodybuilders, I'll push the protein probably between 1 gram to 1.5 grams per pound of body weight. If they're just general fitness people, I'm probably more like 3/4 gram to 1 gram with those people. And then if appetite becomes a problem, then I'll push it up a little bit. But that's you are going to have increased muscle protein synthesis as you push up PEDs, so there is that too. Increased nitrogen retention, all these other things. So your capacity to use more protein is going to be increased. Whereas if you're just a dude on TRT or a lady just trying to get fit, then you probably don't need as much. So those are just factors we need to consider.
Well, and to Dave's point too, like protein selection, like what proteins are you eating? Are you getting them from diverse sources, not overusing whey protein and things like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, amino acid break. Some have more leucine. I think red meat, if I remember right, and eggs probably have the most leucine in them. Leucine is important for mTOR.
Although whey is number 1, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, maybe. I don't remember exactly. I'm talking about from the whole food sources.
Oh, okay.
But the issue I run into with whey is that a lot of people have digestive issues with whey. Yeah. I would say probably more than not. If you get a good high quality whey, I found that I can't get away with anymore. It's pretty much just clear whey. Although these Fairlife things seem to go down okay with me. But maybe it's the artificial sweeteners they put in all the whey proteins that fuck me up. That's another thing to consider. Is a lot of
Fairlife to McDoubles, I'm telling you. It's a good meal.
Well, and I've seen guys have like some gut permeability issues after overusing it for a period of time too. So
yeah, And you also have to be, and I know red meat is probably nature's perfect, beef is probably nature's perfect protein. But the problem you run into if you overdo the beef, I see a lot of guys end up having super high hemoglobin, hematocrit, and red blood cell count.
They got to
And
run more.
Yeah,
That's it.
right. Yeah,
You got to be a runner.
yeah.
That's really the only way.
Yeah, that's an issue I run into. But I try to keep Swiss. Somebody said Swiss cheese is high in leucine. There you go. Ham and
What
Swiss
does a
sandwiches for everybody.
nutritional therapy practitioner eat for protein, Amy?
A very diverse blend of protein. Like I mix it up. Like I try to not do just, the only exception to that is like if I'm on like peak week or something where I'm keeping things like exactly the same. I try to just have a diverse variety. And I like weird meats. Like I like elk and bison and ostrich.
Raccoon.
I don't
Young
live
turkey.
in that. Yep. Baby turkey.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mix it up.
I'll take goat.
Now, is that mainly the difference in the amino acid profiles, or is it actually like a little bit digestion and fat sources, or
Yeah,
what
it's
is it?
I just think there should be diversity in the diet. It's really just keeping diversity. And I also I'm fortunate to know ranchers. So yes, I do get like lean. Goat is extremely lean meat. So I get goat, I get pastured pork loin. I'm really very fortunate to have access to that. I also know quite a few hunters, so I get venison and elk from time to time, and pheasant and quail. So it's really because I really feel like if you have that available, there's no reason why you shouldn't be utilizing that to the fullest extent. Like
Sure.
duck eggs and quail eggs and like anything I can get my hands on.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I mix it up. Yeah, and that kind of answers. There was a question from Gamboni Law. Where is your question, Gamboni? Asking about protein fatigue. Like, what are your go-to sources? He asked
No
specifically about shrimp. I love shrimp.
I love
Healthy
shrimp.
shrimp. Yeah.
Shrimp is my low day hack because you can get a lot of volume, with it. Throw some veggies in there and you're nice and full.
That was literally my last meal with shrimp.
Oh yeah, shrimp is amazing.
Just got to watch your LDL with it.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
whitefish winner.
Yeah, I find
Yeah.
myself getting sick of the shrimp, but like you say on prep, you get that more food volume from it, and I like fish. I never get sick of fish, but I'll usually have one fish item a day, whether that's shrimp or cod, and then I kind of diversify. I try to do like 4 to 5 meals a week of red meat, and that's about it. And then everything else is turkey, chicken. I do use isolate, of course, for Ninja Creamy or whatnot.
I've been huge on egg whites, but I know that doesn't agree with everybody. So because it's so versatile, you can make like omelet savory stuff, but you can also make it sweet. You can make an egg white pancake that's on a protein heavy, no carb day, it'll satisfy that sweet craving easily, which is awesome.
Mine, like somebody put on there, the raw eggs, 8 raw eggs a day. You got to be careful. You got to be careful with the raw eggs because the proteins in eggs are tightly folded and they need to be decanted for you to fully absorb them. So you're not getting what's that?
Avid protein. Yeah, you got to cook that stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, you gotta cook it. You're only absorbing about half of the protein that's in the eggs if you're not cooking that.
You're basically pooping yourself for no reason. Congratulations.
Yeah, I know they're easier to get down, but you're wasting your money doing that. So
You got to win.
I would say I've heard people talk about like the liquid egg whites. They're pasteurized. That maybe that heat is enough to decant them, but I don't know that's the.
I always cook mine. I'm not taking chances. Sorry.
Cook them anyway.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't do it any longer, but I drink egg whites from the carton for the longest.
We all learned it from Rich Piana. He was amazing. God bless his soul.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, if you want to get micronutrient depleted, doing like 6 weeks of fish, tilapia and egg whites on a prep is a good way to do that. So from that,
kind of
to speak to what Amy said about diversity in your protein, it's just like there's a little bit of something different in everything that we eat. And if we get real mono focused in our diets, like we've all done, the egg white and whitefish diet at some point if you've been a competitive bodybuilder.
Yep.
But my micronutrient tests after doing that were just terrible. So that's when I learned that to eat diverse sources.
God, I
Mix
think
it
about
up.
the old school bodybuilding thing of egg whites, cod, and asparagus, how fucking horrible their health had to been after doing Jesus Christ, man.
Like weeks and weeks on end of that. Oof.
Oh, like the whole prep. That's the way dudes in the 90s would do for their preps.
Oof.
No.
No, thank
Yeah,
you.
they would do no carbs.
Mhm.
They would do no carbs, no fat. And then just egg whites and chicken breast and asparagus and broccoli their whole prep. The farts had to have been wonderful.
Do that for 6 weeks, and then your coach tells you to put some honey on a rice cake, and it's like it might as well be a cheesecake factory, man.
Oh yeah.
It's like, dude, it's like Dubai chocolate to you.
Yeah, I mean, there's also the avidin and biotin issues with egg whites too. So just
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
You know, one last quick
Yeah,
thing
okay.
I'll mention though. Now that I think of it, you know, Amy, that's just switching things up for diversity's sake too is good because we do get used to certain food sources. Like,
Mhm.
you know, Paul and I talked about how can we improve digestion and not run into any problems ahead of time on my prep. And we pulled out egg whites and eggs in general and just kind of simplified things. And luckily when I put them back in, you know, I put them in daily and it hasn't bothered me by any means. But I can tell you from experience, Jackie actually had would use egg whites so commonly in her diet, she actually developed almost a little allergic reaction to them, you know, where she had to pull them out, kind of resensitized
I
to
see
it.
that all the time.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. So
It
just
happens all the time.
switching it up for the sake of switching it up, just so you're not developing, you know, an allergy to something is probably wise. Yeah.
My protein sources currently, I do Greek yogurt. I've noticed a lot of dudes lately are calcium deficient because they stay away from dairy completely and they don't supplement calcium. So I do a Greek yogurt every day. I do salmon. I do one whole egg and some egg whites.
Mhm.
I do chicken breast. I'll do beef, like a lean ground beef 4 or 5 times a week. And then some whitefish here and there, and then I'll do one protein shake a day, one serving per day of a protein shake. That's kind of what I'm doing right now.
You left out Chick-fil-A.
I was gonna say I do
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A and Culver's flavor of the
That's-
day.
That's covered under the chicken category.
There was a few good drug questions in here, huh?
Yeah. All right. Let's
Yeah.
get to them.
Bada Ding asked 300 milligrams of Test C, 150 Primo, 5 milligrams Zepbound. Any issues adding GH? Say no.
Go for it. Go for it, bro.
Blood as wide as you can and go for it, my friend.
Yeah.
Start
the
off
DH.
low. Start off with 2 units. See how it goes.
Yeah.
Start at 100 a day.
All right, from Frog Blast. I know everyone hates D-ball, but would it be good for a strong man? My
Yes.
buddy is 6'3", 300 pounds, natural strength freak, and I think he could be 400 pounds after a couple of D-ball cycles. But he's
I
scared
just
of
made
adults.
it'll be out this week. I made a video about strongman versus powerlifting cycles. I would say for strongmen, no. And for this reason, I'm going to tell you why I would say no, is the pumps you get from D-ball are fucking horrendous. Like the low back pumps, the muscle pumps, they are absolutely insane. And the water retention is insane. And with strongman, if you're getting pumps when you're doing a log carry or picking up those blocks, or your hands and your arms start cramping up, that is the absolute worst thing that you probably would want to deal with. I would think for strongman, I probably would opt for Anadrol, since it's going to be drier and you're not going to get those pumps. If you were going to run an oral or even Anavar, I would run for strongman. Usually if I set up a strongman cycle, it's going to be test, EQ, probably, and I would stay away from anything that's going to potentially give you a lot of water retention and pumps. Whereas like for powerlifting, you only got to move the weight one time, and those motherfuckers love to be bloated up, because the more water retention you have, the more leverage you have to be able to move weight. So I would say anything for a performance athlete where you're going to be moving a lot, MMA guys, strongmen, football players, anything like that, I would stay away from shit that's going to cause a lot of water retention and cause pumps.
Which is why Halo wouldn't be a good idea.
Halo would work, but you might shit out your liver. I would maybe use Halo like to peak, like if you're peaking for a meet, but I would test it out first to make sure that you're not getting pumps. I don't know. I never noticed big pumps from Halo. I just noticed more aggression. I mean, Halo seems to be all androgen to me, and just the effects that you get from it. But I don't know. I would test it out first. A trend would be another one that I would tell strongmen and performance athletes to stay away from, because it really decreases cardiovascular output.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody who's ever run trend knows when you get on the fucking treadmill, you start huffing and puffing, and you're like, "Why is my pulse high? Why can't I catch my damn breth?"
That's the reason why Anadrol would probably be good too, because doesn't that
Red blood cell?
blood?
It increases red blood cell production. Yep.
I mean, mildly, but I mean, it's not.
It's not mild. It's pretty aggressive.
Anadrol's still prescribed for that. Yeah, Anadrol's still
Right.
valid, and yeah.
You just have to watch that you don't.
It's not going to give you like EPO effects, is what I'm saying. You know, it
You'd
would
have-
be a small effect. That'll help.
I mean, it's prescribed for anemia.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's still like legit prescription.
Yeah, Anadrol would be my go-to for sure
Wow.
for strength.
More running, I guess.
Anyway, that's my rant on that.
All right.
Good for powerlifting. I don't. I like shitting on D-ball just because it pisses people off.
You know,
But-
I wouldn't throw Anavar out the window either, too, because if you're really looking, when he asks the question too, of like, running for a year, he could be 400 pounds. I certainly don't want to be pushing and pulling Anadrol for a year. I could use something a little bit more mild that can still give you a good performance gains too.
See,
And
Forgotten
Anavar.
Friend agrees with me.
Yeah.
What's that?
Maybe trend. But
Oh,
yeah.
No contest stage.
Well, these
Yeah.
days it's what can you get a hold of? We'll use that, right?
T-ball. I don't know. T-ball's kind of obscure. I would say, why use T-ball when you got Anadrol? I don't know that
Alright.
there's anything that T-ball does uniquely well that Anadrol doesn't do better.
Yep.
All right, next up.
All right. Let's get this one in from Bobby, since you guys are East Coast guys. Any tips on where to go for a first-time amateur show? He'll be 45, first-time competitor in the New York City area. What shows would you guys
NPC.
recommend?
NPC go local, right? As close as you can to make it comfortable and easy.
Yeah.
Because you want to make the experience easy. I've learned this one. I just did my first show, so
Yeah, I
learned.
usually discourage guys from traveling on first shows.
Yep.
Find one close by.
Yeah, the NPC Long Island show is a pretty good one too, from what I've heard from friends that drive up there.
I mean, there are tons of shows in the New York area. You'll have plenty to choose from.
yep.
Not like
Tons.
Southern Oregon, where there's never a show that's not at least 3 hours away.
Oof.
I
Yeah.
mean, we probably have a dozen here in the DC area. Well, probably 8 or 9 in the DC area that are all driving distance from me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would go to the NPC, find something local, especially if you don't want to be tested. I'm assuming you're an enhanced athlete if you're listening to our show, so you don't care about the natty stuff.
Oh, I don't
But yeah.
know. I had a show promoter ask me if I was going to do the natural show when I was literally wearing your anabolic bodybuilding tank top. He's like, "Hey, you should jump into the natural show." I'm like, "Read the shirt, man. I do not qualify." Oh,
Yeah,
All right.
and doing a local show is going to be very, very good when they ask you to go tan at 3 a.m. It makes a difference. It makes a huge difference if it's close by and you don't have to travel or anything like that. It definitely makes a
Well,
difference.
Yeah.
not having to deal with a hotel too. If you can sleep at home, it's just less stuff you have to kind of prep
Oh
for.
yeah, I forgot about
Yeah.
the Bev Francis. That's a big one, Bob. So that's a good one.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that's
Yeah.
the one I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, that's a big show. Steve and Bev's show.
All right. Question from Type. LLX. Paula, remember you mentioned this. How long after surgery did your doctor recommend delaying using BPC and TB500? Have a distal tricep tendon reattachment surgery on Wednesday.
Good luck. I mean, Amy, you would know more about this than me, but he said 3 to 4 weeks because of the increased collagen synthesis and buildup of scar tissue.
Yeah, I would say very minimum 2 weeks, depending. I would say 2 to 4 would be kind of my sweet spot. You need that initial inflammatory process to happen. I think that's what gets really demonized. People immediately want to think that suppressing all inflammation after surgery is what they need to be doing. Like they want to start taking, high doses of, like of ibuprofen right after surgery to suppress inflammation. Like you understand that like your body does that for a reason. Like some inflammation after surgery is good because it's bringing these growth factors and these healing factors into the area of injury. And it's also providing some cushion and protection and kind of like some self-splinting. Like, yes, you don't want that to be persistent or negative, but like a little bit of an inflammatory process is good. And you also kind of want healing to happen at a rate that is normal. You look at like children or the elderly are good case studies to look at for healing overall, because children heal so rapidly in some cases that can actually lead to like bad outcomes for scarring. They might have scarring that is hypertrophic because they heal so rapidly. Whereas an elderly person, it might take them forever to heal, but when they do, there's like no visible scar because their skin is so thin and it took so long to heal. So, there's a sweet spot for healing, and you don't want to artificially suppress it right at the beginning, would be my thought.
How did you tear your distal triceps tendon? That's what I want to know.
The distal almost always is popped on, what I've seen is on preacher curls.
Those preacher curls again, man. I'm telling you, that's a high risk maneuver right there.
Preacher curls, rows. I've seen people do them on rows, underhanded rows particularly.
Yeah.
What about hammer curls?
Supinated.
No, I think hammer curls are pretty safe. I would just be careful.
He says triceps.
Okay.
Oh, it's distal tricep tendon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oof, gosh,
I can think of 100 different ways to tear a bicep tendon, but
yeah.
Yeah. All right. While we're talking medical stuff, there was another, where is it? This one. Recently had a full mouth of extractions with implants. When I woke up, my right glute to foot had no feeling, hard to walk even with a walker. Sounds like you have a neuropraxia, which is just kind of a temporary, it can happen from either stretching a nerve or compression on a nerve, and it can happen after surgery. So I'm assuming this was a sleep dentistry procedure, and it was likely the way you were positioned in the dental chair and or the time. Especially I'm thinking in a dental office, they probably didn't have you with like SCDs on during it. They probably didn't have a ton of like egg crates under your leg. So if you had an extended period of time in that kind of like hammocky bucket position that a dental chair puts you on, it's putting direct pressure on that glute, which could just cause some irritation of that nerve. And neuropraxias can take a while to recover from. But the best things to do are obviously follow your doctor's recommendations, but RICE, rest, elevation, ice, those kinds of things, some acupuncture, keep, mobilization exercises, all those things to kind of get that nerve to wake back up.
So how many grams of rice do you recommend, Amy?
As many as you can tolerate.
160, 1 cup?
Yes. 400, all the rice. Yeah. Josh, but I mean, have you seen this with neuropraxias, how long they usually take to come back and stuff like this?
Yeah, everything you said is right. So I don't have anything really to add to you.
Yeah. But be patient. It takes time. Like it can take time. And even, I mean, it seems weird to people. They're like, well, I didn't have surgery on that area. Like, why is it numb, or why is my foot numb after surgery? And it's in 99% of the time, it's just a positioning thing during surgery, like the way you were positioned or something, putting pressure on something. And, like I said, it's just that the nerve just is like upset, and it'll come back. Yeah. All right. We got one that's just a shout out to Paul, because he's an awesome coach. Just did his first show somehow. Oh, nope, that's not the one. This one. Here we go. Shout out to Paul. 2 weeks out from my first show. 45 labs are near perfect. HDL at 40. Amazing. Partially good genes, but mostly due to great coaching.
I agree.
Awesome.
Yeah, HDL at 40. Let's go Winstrol, right?
He did great. He did really great. Lucas did really great at his first show. He kicked ass.
Yeah, I follow him on IG. He looks fantastic.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to compete for a while, but he looked great, man. He's a very hard worker, man. That guy works his balls off. It hangs drywall all day long and then gets it done. This is another one where like people worry about overtraining. I'm like, bro, slinging 60 sheets of drywall all day long, and then hits the gym afterwards.
There's no overtraining that guy. There's no
Yeah.
overtraining that guy.
That's where he gets the
Underfeeding,
delta
that's
from.
it. That dude's a machine.
Yeah. He makes no excuses. He gets it done.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think we're going to try to do a Masters national show soon. We'll see how he does. He looks great. He's got really nice shape for classic.
Awesome. That's awesome. All right. Do you guys want another drug question or you want a bodybuilding question?
Drugs.
Surprise me.
Okay. All right. So this one from Josiah Ministries says, aromatase enzyme rate appears to be stuck low due to too much AI. Anything I can do to bring it up besides D-ball or HCG?
Consume
Were
more
you
fat.
using? Yeah, that'll help. Were
Aromatase?
you using Romazine? That was probably the culprit.
Yeah, don't take as much AI.
Evil, HCG, mint.
Usually my question with people when I get something like this too, right back to them is, did you implement an AI immediately when you started your, testosterone or cycle or whatnot? I mean, sometimes I feel like people put that in just because it's what's taught or was old school. You might want to, see where you lie after 8 weeks into a cycle.
I
see what your blood's
saw a guy this week where his GP prescribed him testosterone and 1 milligram of Remedex every day. I'm like, what the fuck?
Like off the
Like to
bat?
start?
Like
Off the bat.
Wow.
Okay.
That's really detrimental to someone's health if you're not careful.
It really is.
I'm like that. He's like, this is what this is the guy I did a consult with. He's like, is my GP correct in this? And I'm like, no.
I feel like a quarter tab a week is mostly what guys should be getting on that.
Sure.
I found an old bottle from when I first got on TRT a long time ago that actually had an AI compounded into the injection.
Yeah, there's a bunch of places that used to do that.
Yeah, they do that. I don't like that at all. So you have no control over it at that point.
Yeah. I think that's
it's convenient. A thought for this guy too, just some HCG is probably the simplest thing to get things going again. Like Josh said, maybe a little bit more fat in your diet. But I would toss some HCG in. It'd probably be a simple and easy. Well, it depends on what you're doing. If you're a TRT guy, if you want an excuse to run D-ball, then yeah.
Yeah, if you structure the cycle right, and I think this is what Dave was saying, if you structure the cycle right from the beginning, you're less likely to even need an AI, and it definitely shouldn't be part of your initial equation. It's something that you add in later if you need it.
Right.
I've gotten to the point now, I think with most of my clients, if we build the cycle correctly, that I would say 85% of the time, my guys don't need AIs. In the off season, now contest prep's a different story, but
right.
And I think you gotta. It's just part of learning your own body too. I mean, everyone's different. Like, give you an example. If you were to prescribe me 250 milligrams of tescipionate and it already had a 0.5 milligram of an AI in it, chances are that's going to crush my estrogen, knowing my body. I'm awfully sensitive to those things. And now I can't alter it. I'd have to dilute it with more testosterone, or just it's a junk to me. So, and also starting at a moderate dose, seeing how you react at 250 to 350 range, getting your E2 checked. That's also going to help you kind of further along, see how you handle aromatizing these things.
And I know everybody has a boner for aromazine, and it does seem to be more in the short term, more gentle on your blood work, especially when it comes to lipid skewing. But I would caution people who use aromazine that it has more of a permanent effect, since it is a suicide inhibitor. So that is, it's not like a Remedex where if you get in a situation where you crash, you can just yank it and you'll be back within a week. That's not the case with aromazine. I had a situation where I crashed myself using aromazine, and it was months before I got my estrogen back in line. It was months, like 3-4 months.
Yeah, I haven't taken an AI since my contest, and I have to struggle to have enough estrogen. So
Yeah, I mean, you've also gotten really lean. You've changed your body type. I mean, you're in a good spot now, Mike. It's all from the work you've done.
Yeah,
Still on
I'm very-
D-ball?
Say that again.
You know, I stopped doing the deep ball and I experimented with a little oral E2 or oral estradiol. The oral estradiol didn't really do much, and you know, if I got like a 50 milligram per milliliter injectable or something, I might be able to put it up. But I think that's sort of like, you know, pharmacological solution for the problem is not the best place to start. I dialed the EQ dose back, which I think it takes a lot more time to fix things that way. I think that's probably the most effective thing. But I did start back on the D-ball after going off it for a little while because just because I wanted to put something in, an oral and pre-workout. I just felt like I was getting better workouts when I was on the oral. So, and I'm training twice a day on D-ball, so it seems to be working.
And I can't remember the name of the metabolite of equipoise, but there is a metabolite that is believed to be a suicide inhibitor in equipoise. It doesn't seem to have as a profound an effect on lowering the estrogen as say like aromas would, but it's just another consideration.
Yeah, I'm trying to save all my primo for the next contest
Well,
because who knows when you get more.
Yeah,
I'm very similar to you, Mike. It takes me a bit to get my estrogen to recover. You know, I I ended up actually taking I think it was not last week, the week before, just 5 milligrams a day of D-ball, just a small daily, and that helped alleviate the symptoms. And then the last week, I noticed by not taking it that my estrogen is still pretty low, but my alteration of my cycle is slowly bringing it back now. So I'm going to test in like probably sometime next week, see how it's doing.
Yeah, I've got labs tomorrow, so I'm real curious to see where I'm at now after the struggles I've had in the last few weeks with the E2. And I'm also curious to see what my liver numbers are like after, you know, pretty much staying on orals for longer than I ever have. So
Yeah. And you're doing injectable glutathione every day?
I do 100 milligrams a day.
Oh,
So
that's
pretty good dose of that.
yeah. Here's the metabolite. It's 1,4-diana. Diana, if I'm saying this, I wish Kurt was on here. Diana may inhibit aromatase through suicide inhibition. So there we go.
All right, guys. Be headed out.
See ya. All right, we want to grab one more question.
One more question. We're going to make it this one from Isaac. What do you guys think about Sam Sulek doing the Arnold and Arnold UK? Where do you think he'll place?
Last.
Yeah, he'll probably get last because I mean this is his first year as a pro. But yeah, like I said, nobody cares about the Olympia. It's all about the Arnold and Arnold UK.
Is he doing classic?
Yeah, I think so.
He's probably gonna stay classic.
Yeah, look, I'm not trying to take anything away from Sam. I mean, he's a young guy. He's got a great physique.
I watch him every day. Love his show.
I love Sam to death, and I don't want to discourage him from working hard, but I would, unless he's made some massive improvements. Since it to me, he looks like a bodybuilder. Like he had to lose a bunch of weight to get down into classic. He should probably just get really fucking big and be a bodybuilder. And he's at this weird tweener space where he's probably doesn't have the right structure to compete at a high level in classic, and he's not yet big enough to be a competitive guy in open.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that, you know, look at most national shows last year outside of the Arnold, he probably wouldn't have even been close to getting his pro card.
Mm-hmm.
Just, you know, I've had guys compete and I've seen what the competitors look like at their shows that you probably wouldn't have gotten his pro card. Not trying to take anything away from him. I mean, the guy works his ass off. He seems like an incredibly smart, humble, hardworking kid.
Yeah.
But I'd say he's young. I mean, he's got a long time. He's got a lot of road in front of him. I would encourage the guy to keep working and keep chasing after his dream. I love the humility that he approaches things with, and he didn't seem to let all the hate bother him after the show. He won fair and square. He was the best guy out there. Yeah. That's all you can do is compete against the people you go against. But I think he'll probably get smoked at the Arnold.
Yeah. Well, you know, he really over dieted at that
Yeah.
Arnold last year, and he looked smaller than I could have ever imagined he would be because genetically, I mean, he is big. You're right in that he probably should be an open bodybuilder, but without the MPC weight cap, you know, he can be a lot heavier now
10 pounds. Yeah.
in that same division. You know, it'd be interesting to see what improvements he can bring. And I also think he probably, you know, he coaches himself, so he might have dieted more than he needed to, really.
Yeah, I would say that is likely. I mean, he definitely looked over dieted to me.
Also, first show ever. So,
Yeah.
right?
Oh no, you have to qualify for
Was
an
his
actual
Oh, okay.
show.
So, yeah,
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 he
so
did
second
the
show.
Vegas, yeah, he did the Vegas show to qualify.
Yeah.
right.
Like 2 weeks earlier.
Right. Yeah. 2 or 3 weeks before.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. He said he didn't really count it as 2 shows because he, you know, it's 3 weeks later.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
fortunately, in Classic, I mean, when you have a weight cap, you got to hit the number. You know, so it might have been just what he needed. Whether he liked it the way his look turned out because of that, that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
this is what I always tell
Pretty
guys. You know what class you belong to. If you look emaciated when you're maxing out the cap on classic, you're a bodybuilder.
I don't see him
Yeah,
not coming
Urs.
in 226 or so, like on this cut. There's no way he's gonna be 226 on weigh-in easily.
Urs would be an example. I mean, I had a client of mine earlier this year. Guy was like, we had to like pull all kinds of fucking crazy shit to get him in under the cap for classic for a local show. And I'm like, dude, you're a bodybuilder, man. We had to sit in the sauna for 3 hours and this crazy shit going into. I'm like, just do bodybuilding, man. Just be a bodybuilder. But you're. I mean, I was 20 pounds over the fucking classic cap. And could you imagine me losing 20 pounds?
No.
I would have looked awful.
Yeah. Nope.
And I was still what I would consider to be undersized for my frame.
How tall is Sam?
I think he's 5'9". I don't think he's very tall.
Yeah,
he's like good height for bodybuilding.
Yeah, 5'9", 5'10", something like that. Yeah.
I don't know if he could be 5'9" because he would, if he's he'd be way above his weight class for classic.
Let me look at.
You have to. I thought he was more like
5'11".
5'11".
Yeah, that's what they have him listed at.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I thought he was closer to my height.
Because I think 5'9".
He says he's 5'11". We know what that means. 5'7".
Yeah. Oh, you're 5'11", you're 6. Just put that on your driver's license.
Right. Yeah. No, it means you're 5'7". You tell everybody you're 5'11".
Yeah, that's tender 6'1".
Right. Yeah. There you go.
Well, I thought Mike Sommerfeld, if he hit 5'9" officially or 5'8", one of the two, that would have brought him to 196. He had to be at. So if he's the same, if Sam's the same 5'9", he's got to hit roughly the same weight cap. But
according to the NBC, he's 5'11".
Nice.
5'11". That's all that matters. That's what's judged for your.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you got that friendly NPC height measurement or not.
What is
I've seen
34 as a pro is the weight cap.
It's 10 pounds over whatever. No, I don't think it's that much.
226.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what it is.
Yeah, but he's 239 right now, and I think his goal is 226 is his weight cap.
Hang on, I'll find it for you. Oh, come on. The IFBB's website is just fucking.
And that's
horrible.
his Josh.
Right now.
That'd be his pro weight cap, right?
Right, pro. Is he pro?
Okay. Yeah.
5'11" is 219.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so he's got 20 pounds to go then.
I can tell you what, after competing this year, I'm never worrying about weight caps ever again. Whatever I'm closest comfortably to is where I'm competing.
Yeah,
That's why I
219.
had 234 in my head because that's the limit for your weight cap, Paul.
That's cool.
Yeah, 242 if I measure 6'2".
Stand up straight.
Yeah.
Get the inverter roared.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it. Yeah, so yeah. Yeah, I would have to get down to they measured me the one time. They said I was 6'1 3/4. But I don't know.
Yeah, 242 to 234 is a big jump in weight.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big jump. All right, folks, I'm going to wrap this up. Appreciate each and every one of you. We'll see you on the next episode. You greasy motherfuckers, we love you. Each and every one of you, thank you for your support. Appreciate each of you. We'll see you next week.
Be good.
Bicycle.